Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Huo Yuhao twisted his head towards the Snow Empress and asked, Snow Empress, are you trying to use the Titan Snow Devil King to deal with the Sun Moon Empire? The Snow Empress nodded and answered, your individual strength is too weak. Furthermore, the Sun Moon Empire has invaded our territory, which makes them our enemy. To us, this is an insider thing. Huo Yuhao smiled and didn't say anything else. The Snow Empress turned around and didn't look at him. Seeing her ravishing face, Huo Yuhao felt his heart soften. He wasn't developing romantic feelings. Instead, he was thinking about the Snow Lady. To him, the little Snow Lady was like his daughter and his younger sister. What about the Snow Lady now? Elder sister. When he thought about an elder sister, Huo Yuhao felt a sudden heartache. It's been a long time. I wonder how Sister Xiao Dao is. After we parted, Chua sacrificed herself. Then, my emotions were very unstable, and I had to face the beast wave from the Great Star Do Forest. I had no choice but to rush back to Shrek City. After that, it was the war against the Sun Moon Empire. I don't know where Sister Xiao Dao is. Even though I helped to suppress the evil fire in her, it's already been a long time. Her evil fire might have acted up again. Will she be involved in the war? If that's the case, how can I face her? No matter what, I must save her. With his recent experiences, Huo Yuhao had confidence of helping Ma Xiaodao with the evil fire in her body. Among his various options, the manifold mysterious ice essence was the best choice. As long as he fused some of the manifold mysterious ice essence in his body into Ma Xiaodao, he could completely neutralize her evil fire with the Ice Empress, Snow Empress, and Star Anise mysterious ice grass help. If the three ultimate ice spirits that he had couldn't do it, there wouldn't be anyone in the world who could. When he thought until here, Huo Yuhao decided that he had to find her when he went to the Heavenly Soul Empire. I hope I can find her. If I find her, I'll be able to find out about teacher Xiao Ya too. I hope she's fine. Seeing that Huo Yuhao was in deep thought, the Snow Empress didn't disrupt him. She quietly sat on the Ice Bear King's shoulders. While the Ice Bear King was very huge, he was very quick when he started galloping. He was like a mountain that was sliding on ice. There were also more than 100 Titan snow devils running with him. They were huge. Every step they took covered more than 100 meters. When they leaped up, they could even cover more than 500 meters. In just 2 leaps, they covered 1 kilometer. Given such a speed, they could match Huo Yuhao's all-out flying speed. This was the great strength of the extreme north. No wonder the ice plains of the extreme north were a promised land. This had close ties with their immense abilities. Seeing the astonishment in Huo Yuhao's eyes, the Snow Empress smiled and said, this is the core strength of the extreme north. The strength we can utilize is something that you can't imagine. It's just like how you've never seen the core strength of the Great Star Do Forest before. Oh? After hearing the Snow Empress mentioning the Great Star Do Forest, Huo Yuhao's curiosity was piqued. I've not seen the core strength of the Great Star Do Forest. Don't tell me that the 5 great savage beasts that started the beast wave didn't form their core strength. The Snow Empress shook her head and said, the 5 great savage beasts are the strongest soul beasts in the Great Star Do Forest right now. However, if we're talking about core strength, it's not been utilized yet. In fact, your knowledge of Di Tian is still sorely lacking. He doesn't rule the entire Great Star Do Forest. He's also the spokesperson of all soul beasts. If he really wanted to go all out to deal with humans, the Great Star Do Forest wouldn't be the only one to have attacked. Even the extreme north would also have to accept his commands and attack humans. When that happens, it'll be destruction for both sides. Humans are indeed quite strong. However, the hundreds of thousands and million-year cultivations that we have can't be easily overcome. Even if the humans win against us, the destruction to the continent would still be extremely immense. Wait a minute. Huo Yuhao suddenly exclaimed and asked, Snow Lady, What did you say just now? What do you mean when you say that Di Qian is the spokesperson of all soul beasts? Don't tell me that there's a stronger and more powerful soul beast in this world. The Snow Empress nodded seriously and answered, yes, there is. At least, that's what the legends say. In the continent, apart from strange existences like the Skydream Iceworm, we also acknowledge that Di Qian is the strongest and oldest. The Evil Eye Tyrant is only inferior to him. Only living beings like us, that have been around for so long, know about the existence of a lord. Huo Yuhao asked, who is this lord of soul beasts? If even Di Qian calls him lord, isn't he a god then? The Snow Empress smiled and said, the lord of soul beasts is a god. You should have heard before that our lord is the dragon god. The dragon god is the earliest soul beast to have been birthed, and has his own godly seat in the godly realm. For some unknown reason, the dragon god perished, but all the soul beasts on the Doluo continent recognize him as our lord. He has 9 sons, but we don't really consider his children as our lords. Rather, we recognize his avatar after he perished as our lord. The legends say that the dragon god wasn't accepted into the godly realm, because he was a soul beast. He separated into 2 different dragons, and has always been 1 tier away from being a god. These 2 dragons are the Golden Dragon and Silver Dragon. Among them, the Golden Dragon inherited the great strength of the dragon god, whereas the Silver Dragon inherited the dragon god's control of the elements water, fire, earth, wind, light and darkness. Both of them excelled in their own fields, and were very powerful. They dominated the entire Doluo continent, and ruled the world of soul beasts together. Back then, when the 2 dragon kings and 9 sons of the dragon god ruled, the dragon species was extremely strong. Dragons also ruled over all the soul beasts. Afterward, it seemed like a catastrophe hit the Doluo continent. The 2 dragon kings led the 9 sons and the other powerful dragons to resist that catastrophe. Eventually, almost all of them died. Di Qian seems to be the only remaining powerful dragon from that catastrophe. This is why I said that he's the spokesperson of the Lord of Soul Beasts. That's because he's the strongest dragon to have survived, and his blood lineage is the purest. The legends also posit that there was a descendant of the dragon god that survived. As for who it is, only Di Qian might know. I'm not clear on that. However, I've sensed the oldest soul beast to have ever existed in the Great Star Do Forest. This soul beast is indeed very strong. This strength is hidden within this entire Great Star Do Forest. He's not the only one. There is another one whose job is to protect it. Di Qian controls this strength. That is the true core strength of the Great Star Do Forest. To Huo Yuhao, the Snow Empress words could only be explained by the legends. Was there really someone stronger in the Great Star Do Forest? Snow Lady, who do you reckon this surviving ancient dragon to be? Huo Yuhao asked. The Snow Empress shook her head and said, I'm not clear either. I believe that it's more likely to be one of the dragon god's 9 sons. Of course, it could also be the Golden Dragon King or Silver Dragon King. However, this possibility is a little too low. After all, the strengths of the 2 dragon kings were very critical in resisting the catastrophe. As they were the avatars of the dragon god, they can't possibly produce offspring. If their actual bodies were still around, do you really think humans could rule the continent? Huo Yuhao chortled and argued, it's not impossible. If they were greatly hurt in that catastrophe, they might need time to recuperate. The Snow Empress laughed, you'd better not be wishing for that scenario to happen. If that's the case, humans will be in grave danger. Huo Yuhao shook his head and laughed. I'm only kidding. If someone as powerful as him survived, how could he possibly not have recovered after so many years? However, since you've sensed that there are other powers in the Great Star Do Forest, it might really be Di Qian's trump card. The Snow Empress smiled and said, do you know why I told you all this? Huo Yuhao replied, don't tell me that you're trying to dissuade me from resisting Di Qian. The Snow Empress shook her head and replied, of course not. I'm giving you encouragement. Furthermore, I'm also trying to tell you that Di Qian might not be your strongest enemy. There might be someone stronger in the Great Star Do Forest. This is why you should never be overly pleased with yourself, even when you become very strong in the future. Huo Yuhao nodded seriously and said, I won't. Huo Yuhao and the Snow Empress sat on the Ice Bear King's body and used much less time before they returned to their target area. The aura of hundreds of charging Titan Snow Devils was simply too strong. This was why the Snow Empress asked them to stop when they were around 50 kilometers away from the Sun Moon Empire. Yuhao, from now on, you'll command them. You'll decide what to do. I'm re-entering your body to rest. As she spoke, the Snow Empress turned into a beam of white light and fused into Huo Yuhao's body before disappearing. Before this, the Snow Empress had already introduced the abilities of the Titan Snow Devil King, the Titan Snow Devils, and the Ice Bear King to Huo Yuhao. She had also instructed them to listen to Huo Yuhao's orders. Originally, the two of them didn't really like humans. However, Huo Yuhao was different. Just like the Snow Empress said, he wanted to enter the God realm. Also, the Snow Empress even called him Daddy. This was why both Soul Beast Kings didn't dare to delay any further. Guys, thanks for your help. We are going to have to deal with a human army later. Huo Yuhao said as he looked at the two huge powerful soul beasts in front of him. The Titan Snow Devil King nodded and said, since the Snow Empress said we should listen to you, we should follow her arrangement. The Ice Bear King nodded and said, yes, Grandpa. Whatever you want Little Bai to do, Little Bai will do. Grandpa. The Titan Snow Devil King's face contorted a little. It was not his first time hearing the Ice Bear King call Huo Yuhao that. Furthermore, the Ice Bear King even intentionally called Huo Yuhao that all the time. He was trying to show how close Huo Yuhao was with the Snow Empress. Huo Yuhao had tried to correct him a few times, but it was really difficult to stop someone with a one-track mind like him, so he eventually gave up and let him call him whatever he wanted. Huo Yuhao said, like this, Huo Yuhao started to plan out some arrangements. After going through the ultimate soldier plan, he was able to command a team of elite soldiers in a small-scale war even if he wasn't adept at commanding a huge army. Of course, the small scale here referred to the number of people involved, and not. Over the past half-month, the Sun Moon Empire's military base had been extremely busy. Ever since they set up their base, they had already started to take action in full swing. The initial investment naturally needed time. For example, there was the installment of all types of equipment, the detection of the detailed locations of all types of minerals and how to mine them, etc. It was only after mining all those minerals that they could talk about purification, collection, and transportation. After more than 10 days of building the foundation, the basic foundation was more or less up with the help of the Phoenix Soul Engineer Legion. After this, it was time to mine the minerals. 11 veins were discovered here. These veins intersected one another, and each had a different amount of reserves. However, all of them contained high-quality rare metals. Among them, the rare metals produced by 2 veins were of especially precious quality. Given such a situation, the entire mining process intensified. Furthermore, according to some research, among the 11 veins, 6 extended all the way into the Douling Empire. This also meant that they eventually led to the Douling Empire, where further rare metal veins could be discovered and controlled. After 10 days, the Sun Moon Empire's reinforcements arrived. This batch of reinforcements didn't have any fighting strength, but they were the best rare metal mining team in the Sun Moon Empire. There were more than 5,000 of them, and they brought a large number of machines with them. After arriving at the base, they immediately set up tents and settled down. The Phoenix Soul Engineer Legion and more than 20,000 soldiers coordinated with this professional team and expanded the scale of the foundations. At the same time, they started to mine. After half a month, a ceaseless flow of rare metals had already been mined, and they were being purified. 24 openings were dug to carry out the mining operations. No time was wasted at all. The Sun Moon Empire was very aware that the 3 empires of the original Dolor continent would also try to obtain more and more rare metals as soul tools became more relevant in the war. If they knew that there were so many huge veins in the Heavenly Soul Empire, they would certainly risk everything to snatch these resources. This was why Zhu Zi's first instruction was that they mustn't alarm those from the Douling Empire, and allow them to find out what was going on. Second, they had to mine all the rare metals at the fastest possible speed. More than 3,000 storage-type soul tools were used to transport the large-scale machinery. Under normal circumstances, these machines were sufficient to mine more than 3 times the number of veins there currently were. The reason why so many of them were brought over was because the Sun Moon Empire wanted it to be as quick as possible. The entire mining operation was in full swing. Aerial surveillance soul tools were everywhere, to perform strict surveillance on the Douling Empire. Once anything was discovered, the Phoenix Soul Engineer Legion would be able to react in the fastest possible time. Given the strength of the Phoenix Soul Engineer Legion, they would be able to resist for a long time even if they met a 100,000-man army. Moreover, they even had the help of a 20,000-man army. There were many soul formations deployed on the ground. Large-scale soul tools had been fully constructed, and they were sufficient to deal with a long-running war. Zhu Zi also instructed the Sun Moon Empire's army to send more reinforcements. It wasn't that she wasn't confident with the current reinforcements that they had, it was because Huo Yuhao had appeared. It had been half a month. She had been waiting for half a month, but Huo Yuhao hadn't shown up to cause any damage yet. Zhu Zi immediately came to with a conclusion. Huo Yuhao had indeed left this time. But what did his departure mean? It meant that he had gone to get more reinforcements. Not much time was needed to travel from the northeast of the Heavenly Soul Empire to Shrek Academy. When he returned, he might bring many powerful individuals from Shrek Academy with him. Zhu Zi had deployed 2 Soul Engineer Legions for this reason. These 2 Soul Engineer Legions were watching Shrek Academy. Once Soul Masters from the Academy were deployed, they would be in charge of intercepting them. At the same time, the troops in the Heavenly Soul Empire were instructed to increase their pressure on the Heavenly Soul Empire. If the Sun Moon Empire knew that this series of arrangements were for one person, a lot of people would definitely be shocked. However, Zhu Zi deeply believed that this was necessary. In her opinion, Huo Yuhao would only pose a bigger threat to them. At this moment, Zhu Zi was gathering intelligence from all directions in the commander's tent. Compared to the 3 empires of the original Doluo continent, the Sun Moon Empire was very particular about surveillance and intelligence. Especially after Zhu Zi became the marshal of the 3 armies, her first order was to expand the production line of aerial surveillance soul tools. More aerial surveillance soul tools had to be produced. At the same time, she requested more funding from Shu Tianran to expedite their research to high-altitude offensive soul tools. Occupying the sky was a very important component of intelligence gathering. At the same time, it was critical for the war. It was just that simple aerial soul tools were still ineffective in the battle for aerial supremacy compared to soul masters and soul engineers. Zhu Zi sat in the commander's seat and looked at a report. She revealed a slightly doubtful look on her face and muttered, "What's going on? How can there be no movement at all?" Over at Shrek Academy, she wasn't able to deploy many aerial surveillance soul tools to carry out surveillance. However, she had already sent many scouts to observe the Academy's every move. Shrek Academy was very quiet over this period of time. She naturally knew that the Tang sect was mass-producing soul tools. Although she didn't know what they were actually producing, she wasn't very worried. The gap in expertise couldn't be closed in a day or 2. This was true even for Xian Zuan. No matter how strong he was only one person. There were a batch of people who were as talented as Teacher Xian in the Sun Moon Empire. Moreover, in terms of resources, the Sun Moon Empire was also much stronger. Most importantly, whether it was the Tang sect or Shrek Academy, they didn't have enough time to close the gap. "Yuhao, have you given up?" "No, I don't believe that you'll do that. That's not your character. You must be able to tell what we're trying to do. How can you possibly give up just like this? But where are you? Why is there no movement from Shrek Academy? Don't tell me you've gone to the Douling Empire. You wouldn't do that, given your intelligence. The main forces of the Douling Empire are with the remaining forces from the Heavenly Soul Empire, trying to resist our empire. You should know that they'll be outnumbered if we put more pressure on them. Since this is the case, where exactly are you? Is there something that's more important than stopping me? No, I don't think so. You must be doing something, and I'm sure you'll have something to show me. Unless. Her expression changed slightly. She wasn't willing to think beyond that. She also believed that it wouldn't happen. Given Yuhao's current abilities, there are very few who can harm him. Juzi mocked herself and was a little annoyed as she said, "When you left, I kept on worrying that you'd return. However, you haven't appeared for so long, and there's been no intelligence. I started to worry about your safety. I really suspect whether I'll be capable of being ruthless to you when I face you again. Yuhao, you know how much I don't want to lay my hands on you. If you can cooperate with me, that'd be really good. If that were the case, I'd be more confident of conquering this world. Where are you? I hope to have news of you. Otherwise, I might really go and find you if this continues." Juzi kept mumbling Huo Yuhao's name in the tent. However, she didn't know that he was not less than 10 kilometers away from her. Furthermore, he was in the air. If he wanted to, and if there wasn't any resistance, he could appear in front of her in less than 10 minutes. That was right. Huo Yuhao was in the air right now, and he was hiding in a ball of clouds. As he drifted in mid-air, Huo Yuhao silently observed the camp. The weather in the extreme north was very good today. More accurately speaking, the wind in the extreme north was very strong today. At a certain altitude, visibility was much greater than inland. It was very difficult to find a cloud like the one Huo Yuhao was hiding in. Furthermore, this cloud was moving at an extremely great speed. In the distance, many aerial surveillance soul tools were being monitored by Huo Yuhao. These soul tools were very scattered. In addition, they were all different types of surveillance soul tools. There was an all-around surveillance soul tool around 1,000 meters in the air. There was also an oscillation detector at an altitude of 500 meters. There were even thermal detectors at an altitude of 200 meters. These aerial surveillance soul tools were very scattered. Undoubtedly, they had learned from the previous lesson when Huo Yuhao had destroyed many of them at once. There were more of them now, and they were all scattered. Furthermore, they were carrying out more in-depth surveillance to achieve greater results. Of course, this required more effort to be invested. Regarding this, Juzi naturally didn't skim on any effort at all. After this period of observation, Huo Yuhao discovered that the aerial surveillance soul tools didn't just protect the military base below. They were also directed towards the Douling Empire. It wasn't exaggerated to claim that the Douling Empire's troops would be discovered as long as they came within 30 kilometers away of the base. What followed would likely be the attacks of the Phoenix Soul Engineer Legion directed towards them. Huo Yuhao was still in awe right now. He was very impressed by the professional standards of the Sun Moon Empire. In just half a month, the size of the base was already 10 times bigger than what it was when he was first here. There were also more people around too. He had not seen many of the large-scale soul tools. All the soul tools were in use, but the noise pollution they created wasn't very great. He was less than 3,000 meters in the sky right now, but no sound from below was audible at this altitude. Evidently, the Sun Moon Empire had done a great job at minimizing noise pollution. Although Huo Yuhao wasn't very experienced in mining rare metals, he could tell from the scale of their mining operations that the amount of reserves in the mines was definitely extraordinary. The Sun Moon Empire would not take much time to mine all the metals, given the scale of their mining operations. From the sky, everything was clear. There were more than 20 openings. Chunks of ore were constantly being transported out of these openings. This could become rare metals that were worth a lot, and could be used for the cause of soul tools after they were purified. Huo Yuhao was also a soul engineer. Even though he was very far away, he could still recognize some of the more special rare metals. Given the amount of rare metals that they had, it naturally meant that more and more weapons could be created by the Sun Moon Empire. Although the same thing would happen if he was the one with the rare metals, at least the Tang sect and Shrek were producing weapons to stop the war and resist invasions. Huo Yuhao's plan was very simple. First, He wanted to blind this Sun Moon Empire army before leading the Tai-Tan Snow Devil army to attack them. The Tai-Tan Snow Devil King was very unconvinced by this plan. In his opinion, the number of people here wasn't enough to pose any threat to the Tai-Tan Snow Devils. In a few attacks, everyone from the Sun Moon Empire would certainly be killed. However, Huo Yuhao warned him that there were many powerful weapons in the human world. Even if he was a soul beast, his life was still in danger. Tai-Tan Snow Devils were the most powerful species of savage beasts in the extreme north. They possessed incredibly terrifying strength. Their body was their strongest weapon and ability. Their strength and dominance were nightmares for their enemies. However, their bodies were very large, which made them easy targets for soul tools. This was why Huo Yuhao was able to convince the Tai-Tan Snow Devil King under the name of the Snow Empress. He was here to help. He didn't want his entire species to be critically hurt because of him. If that was the case, he wouldn't be able to account to the Snow Empress either. After observing for some time, Huo Yuhao carefully retreated. He was too easily spotted in the day if he took any action. The results would be better at night. He silently returned to where the Tai-Tan Snow Devils were stationed, and tweaked their original plan slightly. The Tai-Tan Snow Devil King led his own species, as well as the Ice Bear King, to take a brief rest. The Snow Empress didn't permit the Ice Bear King to bring his own species with him. This was because the Ice Bear King was going to leave with them after this. If he brought his own people with him, he would be put in a difficult spot later on. What they needed now was to wait for night time. Time slowly passed, and the sky slowly turned dark. A figure silently flew from a pile of snow in the distance. More figures followed, and they slowly scattered. They were all slowly moving towards the front. They lightened their footsteps and tried not to make any sound as they moved forward. They were all advancing towards the same target. The figure in front of everyone else, who had a height of around 2 meters, wasn't Huo Yuhao. He was a burly man with an extremely muscular physique. When savage beasts reached a certain level, they could transform into the appearance of humans. The Tai-Tan Snow Devil King was no exception. However, soul beasts weren't willing to do so unless it was necessary. They could only unleash their greatest strength in their original state. Right now, they did this to better conceal themselves. In Huo Yuhao's plan, the Tai-Tan Snow Devil King definitely played the most important role. What about Huo Yuhao? Right now, he wasn't the only one flying towards the sky. There was a fatty beside him. If one wasn't observant enough, he would assume that it was a pig flying in the sky. Huo Yuhao was a little helpless as he asked the Ice Bear King, "Little Bai, why are you in this form? Our Tai looks more normal than you." That pig was indeed the Ice Bear King. Right now, the Ice Bear King was just like a ball-shaped human. He flew beside Huo Yuhao with his huge tummy. He could glide as much as he wanted. He wasn't wearing anything either. After all, he couldn't fit into Huo Yuhao's clothes. His flesh was all round, and even his head was ball-shaped. His look was extremely interesting. The Ice Bear King chuckled and said, "Grandpa, you don't know about this. When I first transformed into a human, I specially asked Mom. She said that she likes me in my chubby state. This was why I chose this look. I look cool. Look at my fat. It doesn't change how charming I taste." Huo Yuhao smacked his forehead. How can one describe taste as charming? However, he didn't say anything else. After all, he was already in this state. There was no way it could be changed. Under the effect of Huo Yuhao's imitation, they slowly concealed themselves and flew into the distance. The reason why he had surveilled the place earlier was because he needed to verify the surveillance radius of the Sun Moon Empire's aerial surveillance soul tools. Through his daytime surveillance, Huo Yuhao already had a plan in mind. Since the Sun Moon Empire was mainly projecting their surveillance towards the Douling Empire, they could sneak in from the other side. In this way, they could get close. Once they took action, they could also breach the Sun Moon Empire's base faster. Huo Yuhao led Little Bai higher and higher into the sky. Little Bai was a savage beast. While he looked plump, he was actually faster than Huo Yuhao after he started flying. However, he admired Huo Yuhao more and more right now. Grandpa, your spiritual detection sharing is really fun. I can see so far even though it's so dark. Haha, take a look. Our Tai is still foolishly running. Look at him, he's so small. It's so fun. Quiet. Otherwise, I'll ask your mom to whack you. Huo Yuhao could only turn fierce against the babbling Little Bai. Little Bai immediately quieted down. After turning into a human, his eyes became a little shifty. He pleaded, Grandpa, don't do that. I'll keep quiet. Huo Yuhao was a little amused, and stopped entertaining him. His spiritual detection wasn't just linked with Little Bai. It was also linked with the Tai-Tan Snow Devil King below. This aided his commandeering through his surveillance and detection. Right now, he was 1,000 meters from the ground. This was a huge burden on his spiritual power, given how far he had to unleash his spiritual detection sharing. Without his soul core, he would be unable to do it. Very soon, the Tai-Tan Snow Devils stopped under his command. They hid behind a mountain that was covered in snow. This mountain was a bit more than 20 kilometers from the Sun Moon Empire's base. It was also the limit of the aerial surveillance soul tools. As the Tai-Tan Snow Devils were unable to become humans, they were being deployed further away at around the 25-kilometer mark. They crouched and silently waited for instructions. These Tai-Tan Snow Devils were easily commanded. They carried out the Tai-Tan Snow Devil King's instructions without any questions asked. This made Huo Yuhao's job easier. Right now, Huo Yuhao and Little Bai were already close to the boundary of the aerial surveillance soul tools. Huo Yuhao smiled and said, it'll depend on us next. Come, let's go. As he spoke, his figure flashed, and he sat on Little Bai's shoulders. In terms of cultivation, they were a far way off from each other. Such a tough job of rising into the sky was naturally easier for Little Bai. Little Bai kicked his legs in the sky. His actions seemed very clumsy, but his body burst up like a huge cannon shell. He was so quick that he was even faster than the White Tiger Duke before. Huo Yuhao was seated very stably on his shoulders. He was like a nail that had been nailed to the Ice Bear King's shoulders. The scenery around him quickly flashed past, and the temperature dropped continuously. Their surroundings also became increasingly quieter. This video will end here.